Thank you for joining me once again for another ball review. This one is for the new Storm Intense. I used my typical test layout once again, 65 by 5 1/4 by 40. The Intense is a new pearl in the Premier line, and while it uses the R3S cover that we saw in the snap lock, it has a new derivative of the Rad core called Rad E. While this core is weaker than both the core in the Code series and the Lock series, this ball somehow seems stronger for me than the snap lock. However, unlike the snap lock, this ball blends wet-dry transition much better. It doesn't jerk or stand up on friction, though it somehow still manages to have an extremely strong move off the dry boards. It's hard for me to put into words what this ball does. At surface value, it seems reminiscent of the No Rules Pearl. That when I made my preview video, having seen all the information on the site about the higher degree of entry angle, I'd expected it to be longer and stronger than the No Rules Pearl, given that the core in the NRP is a little bit stronger. However, Chad McLean, Storm's technical director, made comments to the opposite effect. And once I saw the high SP video from Japan, I saw the difference, and he was right. I mean, now that I've thrown it, it's even stronger than I expected. It's very deceptive to the eye. Off your hand, it's super easy through the heads, and then in the mids, gets extremely aggressive. It's very continuous on the back end. It's a ball that makes you feel extremely confident in getting deep, keeping your hand inside of it, and virtually just flinging it right at the gutter. The revving in the mid lane and the move on the back end is shocking. It actually reminds me of the Sherlock as far as those characteristics. It's the only other ball that I've seen be this aggressive in the mid lane and still have this much left on the back end. The revving in the mid lane and the move on the back end is shocking. It actually reminds me of the Sherlock as far as those characteristics. It's the only other ball that I've seen be this aggressive in the mid lane and still have this much left on the back end, especially because this ball doesn't slow down like the Sherlock does. The Sherlock really puts on the brakes near the break point, which gives it the time to boom on the back end, but this ball just kind of seems to defy physics a little. This house especially is sludgy in the middle. Usually you need to go around the middle and just bump some friction on the outside to get it to finish, and the Intense just digs right through it. Going back to the comparison to the No Rules Pearl, the hook potentials are still fairly similar. The Intense has it by a couple boards, but the No Rules Pearl is a bit cleaner and much smoother on the back end. The Intense has a much more aggressive finish. I also compared it to the Marvel Pearl, but as you can see, there's really no comparison here. I mean, the Marvel Pearl is just buttery smooth the whole way down the lane, while the Intense is very aptly named. It's very aggressive, and if these words could be used to describe a bowling ball, almost vindictive and angry. I mean, it's odd. Some balls come out with a bunch of hype like the Phase and the Timeless, and while those were polarizing balls to be sure, this ball, for me, feels like more of a statement piece. I don't think much more needs to be said. I'm very impressed with this ball. For value, it gets a +2. It's a big price tag, but this ball feels like it's worth it and then some. For design intent, +3. This ball's exactly what they say it is. For hook, it gets a +2. It's now the most aggressive pearl I've ever thrown. For versatility, it gets a +1. It needs a metric ton of oil, but I'd almost argue it needs a longer pattern more than a heavier volume. It's very easy through the heads. It doesn't really get mean until it hits about 30 feet. Composite rating is +8. Shot shape's a very hard arc. This is about as strong as a back-end move that you're going to get without it actually being a snap. Condition type is both house and sport. It, like the NRP, is going to be a ball that's going to be able to play on the fresh, on long, heavy patterns right out of the box. The pair of the Intense and the Matchup Hybrid are two extremely good releases and would be a great combination to purchase together. Both release on October 27th. Thank you for watching.